and welcome to another review in the final round of the North American Youth Championships. This game was played between Hema Vikas and Elizabeth Diaz Bartolo. This game was quite interesting because of its ups and downs, and to me, I'm still not sure to the last moment as I'm making this video whether the result is correct or not. I've tried to refresh the page to see if the result was updated on chess result. Oh, they were updated. Okay, wait. The result was updated, so I can actually let you guys know what happened here. Nope, it wasn't updated. Never mind. Maybe by the end of the... Because this was board 3 for girls under 16. So this game scared me for a bit. There was a lot of ups and downs because white blundered at some point and was close to being lost, and then it was black's turn to make a mistake. The result does show as a draw, so until I have the confirmation, I'm gonna assume it was a draw. But let's see what was so exciting about it. So the players started with the Caro-Kann. I think this is called a fantasy variation or something like that with f3. I could be wrong. Knight f6, e5, knight g8, right? So there's a little bit of tempo loss here by black, but it's trying to attract this move e5, f4, e6, and transferring to some kind of a French pawn structure, but this pawn in f4 is certainly something that could benefit white. So, but in the same time, it could be an extra pawn that's pushed forward, right? That creates some weaknesses. After knight h6, king h1, queen b6, very typical kind of move for a French pawn structure, white decided to take in c5. Now, this wasn't too bad in a way. It's just can get a bit scary when you see the bishop there and the knight in h6. And I think what happened here is white kind of potentially forgot about this idea with the knight coming to g4. And to me, I think b4 is the move that white should follow up with. Not h3, because h3 maybe creates some kind of weaknesses with the knight coming to g3, but b4, just chase this bishop away to make sure nothing's going to happen on the diagonal. It can get a bit scary. But here Hema chose to play this move queen d3, which allowed knight g4, very nicely found by Elizabeth. And now we got some issues dealing with the knight coming to f2. Now white can still go b4 and allow black to capture the exchange. And at least white can get a bit of space advantage on the queen side and try to see if she can eventually trap this bishop in f2. But in the game, white played the move knight d4, giving even more advantage to black. As the knight was captured, bishop took in d4, and this idea of knight f2 is still there, which actually happened now after queen g3, knight f2. Black won the exchange and now is definitely in the driver's seat to have the chances to win this game. Hema did not give up, however, and that's a very important characteristic to have. If the position is still not completely lost, you cannot give up. You have to try to find your chances, and she tried to do just that by maintaining the position closed. Also took this pawn in g7, black castle long, white captured this pawn as well. And the next few moves are just, development moves where white is trying to get the pieces out, maybe get some kind of play on black's king, and maintain a safe king of her own without taking more pawns, right? So queen f3, it had to give up that pawn in e5. And here, after bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, knight b5, the first surprise by black happened. So to me, the natural move for black would have been queen takes f4, just try to trade more pieces, win a pawn, and just go towards the win. But for some reason, Elizabeth wanted to keep the queens on the board just a bit longer, so she chose to take this pawn in b2. And this is a bit scary because the queen is kind of trapped now. Of course, she attacks this rook and she attacks the knight. So maybe she thought she would be winning something. The knight, though, cannot be captured, right? Because there's a pin on the c file. Hema found the best possible move in the position. She played the move queen e3. Queen e3 covers the rook, and everything seems in order. Also attacks e6, by the way, so the best move for black is probably rook f6 to keep it protected. But what happened here is out of the ordinary, totally unexpected. Black plays this move king d7, which seems like the right move to play, keeping everything covered and, you know, eventually bringing new pieces into the game. But what's so interesting about this move is the fact that white is actually winning with a gorgeous tactical idea, which unfortunately was missed by Hema. So she had the chance now to turn things around all the way into her favor. If you guys are watching this, make a pause to the video and figure out this beautiful, beautiful move by white. That move was the gorgeous rook takes c6. If you're familiar with tactics, this is something that should come to your senses, like, what? Rook takes c6? Yes, rook takes c6. If the king takes, we got a mate into quite easy here. So of course you can't take with the king. You gotta take with the pawn, but now what happens is the queen infiltrates over there and it's gonna be mate anyways. Even if you hide in e8, no, we're not gonna give knight d6 check. No, no, no. We're bringing this bishop into play too. Bishop h5 check, and after king there, or okay, rook f7 was possible first, then queen c7 checkmate. So this move, brilliant move, would have come out of nowhere here. I found it so gorgeous. I was looking at the position, and at first I was like, why is that a blunder? But then, you know, just if you're familiar with some of the ideas, you see what pieces are protected, you kind of get the sense. And this really came out of nowhere. This queen takes a7. It's so beautiful. And by the way, there's nothing on the back rank, because even if you give a check or something, the beautiful thing is that the rook can go right back, chases the queen away, and then it's gonna be activated once again. So this would have been a gorgeous finish for white. Instead, Hema gives black another chance by playing knight d4, and the next few moves are a bit you know, not necessarily the best from both sides. And we're getting to another moment here after d4. Beautiful, like this in this position, black probably should have played actually I don't remember what was the move. Maybe try to protect the king a bit with rook d8. But here Elizabeth went for d4. Beautiful find, beautiful check. Now of course you can't take the rook. Don't you dare go for the rook, because you're gonna fall for a checkmate. But now queen c5 check, and the thing is that now white's pieces are all protected, and it is black's king that suddenly is weak. Bishop d5, very nice found, and now white gets to just win material. And she took it, and now the game proceeded, I think, in a normal fashion. Now here, Hema probably rushed with trading the queens and going into a queen endgame with a pawn up, but rook d1 is probably was gonna help her a bit more, because this pawn will be lost, and then she would have actually 2 extra pawns. Instead, she went for rook takes c8 in this position, and now she cannot, it's harder to win. I thought this endgame would end in a draw, you know, because you have to go back to protect, and you lose this pawn. White's kind of stuck here, needs to find a way to escape, and I thought it could end in a draw. But when I came back to the game, I realized that white was able to find her way out of the restriction of the king, and not long after, a trade of queens happened. Black should never allow this king and pawn endgame to happen, but it happened, and now this endgame is a win. And as I'm closing down this video to check whether the result was correct or not, the result did not show yet on chess results, But I want to show everyone, especially those watching this video for the first time on YouTube, that this endgame is indeed a win. The reason I'm surprised here is that the result does show as a draw, but basically what you guys have to remember is that this endgame is a win for white, particularly because white has the ability to win. For example, if you go king f8, king f5, we can circle back around with king f1, pushing you back, and now we just keep pushing you back and advance. Of course, this is the easy part. The tougher part is in this position after king f2. You say black goes there, and after this, black enters to take the g-pawn. This is the one that can scare you a bit, but there are two ways for white to win. f5 wins the game in an easy fashion, but king f3 is the move that I would play. Zugzwang, the pawn and the king restrict black's king from escaping, and now the f pawn just marches, and there will be a mate soon. Now you can say, okay, what about king e3? No course for alarm. We're just advancing through here. So that's not the kind of Zugzwang that you can create with black. So this should be a win. I do not know whether the result is correct or not, but regardless, I think this was a super hard fought game. Both players deserve, you know, the credit for fighting till the end, and just brought me so many emotions by watching the game, and I hope it did bring you too. You learned some things, you saw some beautiful tactics, and you enjoyed it. And that concludes our North American Youth Championships.